Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss the singleton design pattern in TypeScript. The singleton design pattern is used whenever your application requires only one instance of a certain class. Like, for example, when you are installing a software on your system, then there is an installation wizard that is taking care of all the configuration, and it's usually only one instance of that wizard that is available at any moment in the time. It's like having one spouse. For example, you have only one husband or only one wife. You cannot allow more than that, or you don't want, or you are afraid to. This is the case when, for example, you have a modal dialog that is opening in your system, for example, a registration dialog or form, and you want to allow only one instance of that form at any moment in the time. So I'm going to show you how to do that in TypeScript. I have created a folder called Singleton TypeScript, and the only thing that I have done is I have created a folder inside that called .vscode, where I placed the settings JSON so we can use Dino to compile TypeScript. I'm not going to install separately any TypeScript compiler. I'm going to rely on Dino, and that's fine for all your TypeScript projects. So for the settings, as usual, we have installed the Dino plugin. So you have the official support from Dinoland for the Dino runtime, which is a runtime for TypeScript, and I have the settings copied from the documentation. You enable Dino, you enable the unstable switch from Dino, so you can use the Dino lint. Other than that, you allow also the IntelliSense for Dino and for TypeScript. Okay, and that's it. We can go and start programming. So I'm going to create a file, and I'm going to call it main.ts, which is a TypeScript file format, and I'm going to define a class, and that class will be called Singleton. Very original. And in that class, what are we going to do is we are going to define a static variable of type singleton, which means when I say static, that means that all instances of that class will be sharing this one static variable. Static variables are variables that are shared among all the instances. They belong to the class. They don't belong to a certain instance. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to declare a variable called static, and I'm going to name it instance. Okay, and that variable will be of type singleton. Okay, here is the thing. You have a variable that is of type singleton, but you are just declaring the type singleton. So how is that working? Well, you will instantiate the instance inside the constructor, and then you will be returning that static variable, and that's it basically. So I'm going to show you how this is done. So let's say you will have also some data field. That these are the data that are specific to instances and not to a class. So I'm going to declare, just for demonstration, a data field of type string, and now I'm going to declare the constructor. Okay, and that constructor, of course, will be getting a variable of type string. Okay, and in this constructor, I'm going to transfer that data to the internal variable data. So I'm going to say this data equals D, right? So that's it for the instantiation of the instance itself. Remember, constructors instantiate usually only the internal variables, only the instance variables, and they don't touch the static variables. The static variables are instantiated in a different mechanism. So now and of course the constructor when we are talking about instances, we are talking about dynamic variables that belong to a certain class. Okay, that's why they are not static. So I'm going to declare a static function or method, and I'm going to call that getInstance. Now this is the method that is going to return the singleton, and it will get a data member of type string, or of course it can be of any type. Let's say it can be of type my class, okay? But in this very simple example, I'm going to return only I'm going to receive only a string. And here I'm going to check whether the instance variable, this one, whether it is defined or not. And in case it is undefined, which means singleton my instance, if not singleton my instance, it means if this instance is not defined yet, then here I'm going to initialize that. Why? Using the constructor singleton D. So I'm going to send the data that I have received to the constructor of the singleton, and this is the only way that this instance is going to be initialized. So yeah, and after that, after I have done that, after I have checked whether the singleton is initialized or not, I'm going to return the static instance, which means, okay. So this is the only way that this one single instance is going to be initialized. And this is the definition of the class. That's it, it's done. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to declare a constant, and I'm going to call it the one, and it's going to be of type singleton, of course. And I'm going to call the instance, and I'm going to provide a data member called neo. So this is neo the one, and I'm going to console log the one data to see what is this. After that, I'm going to declare another instance, which is also a singleton, so-called, and it is a I'm going to call the instance itself, but I'm going to provide a different data at this moment. So agent Smith, and I'm going to console log this and see what I'm going to receive. Okay. Now, after that, I'm going to test one thing to ensure that there is really only one instance, and in that case, console log whether the one and only equals another. Remember, in TypeScript and in JavaScript, all variables that are not of a primitive type, all variables are objects in that case. And in objects, when we declare variables of type object, they are all references. They reference. They are not a value by themselves. They are a reference to a place in memory. So when we are checking whether one reference equals to another, we are checking whether one place in the memory equals to the same place in the memory. Okay, so if these two are referring to the same place in memory, that means that they are referring to the same object. Okay, now I'm going to check this. Okay, and I'm going to say dino run allow read and main ts. So here you see I'm showing the first instance, I'm showing the data, and then although I declared another so-called variable, but that other variable is not initializing another instance. The instance is already initialized, and it's outputting exactly that. It's outputting the data that is stored in the first instance. And then to confirm that there is only really one instance, I'm getting out the confirmation that the address of the one is the same as the address of another. They are both references to the same variable, which means I have only one instance. And that concludes this tutorial. I have also one tutorial about the singleton in C++. If you want to watch that, then please do so. Other than that, please like, subscribe, and leave any comment below if you have any questions. Other than that, I wish you a good day and see you the next time.